just getting ready to install the second charge controller. Today what we're going to be doing is installing the solar cable which comes over from the barn, from the garage in the barn where the combiner boxes are, all the way over to here. So we've got 4 strings of solar panels. Each string has 8 panels and each charge controller can do 2 strings. So I've already got 1 charge controller mounted. First job today is going to be mounting the second charge controller, and then we're going to start wiring everything up. So my name's Sarah, this is Gridbusters, and today we're going to be doing some cabling. They're quite light, these, compared to the monster inverter here, which was unbelievably heavy. I'll put a link to the when we installed the inverter at the end of the video if you want to check that out. Because this thing is like 100 kilos or something. It's crazy heavy, and we got quite a good system actually for mounting this. So if you want to see that, stick around to the end of the video and I'll put a link to that video. So this is the charging plate, sorry, not the charging plate, the mounting bracket which goes here. So I just need to draw some lines across there, and then we can get that mounted to the wall. Right, I'm happy with that. I just need to put some screws in here. So this charge controller here will be for string 1 and 2, and this charge controller will be for string 3 and 4. So I've got the cables here. They're a little bit longer than I need. So yeah, so I just need to separate those out. So we want string 1, so let's see, so that's string 1 and string 2. Right, so these 2 need to come up behind here and then poke through the wall. So I have some spare solar cable, just a single strand. I was going to put this down, and then I can once I can see it at the bottom, I will tape on the string 1 and 2 here. Okay, that's fine. Or cable tie it, whatever I've got here. What have I got? I've got some tape, that will do. So I was going to tape those on and then pull that through. Hopefully that should do the trick. Oh, it's come off already. Oh dear. That's not a good start. Right, I need to tape this on a bit more securely. Okay. This insulation tape I've just chosen to use is pretty old and it's not very sticky. Yeah, hopefully that will do it. Okay, let's give this a go. Yay, there we go. We're through. Okay, so we're there. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut these all to the same length. So we're going to go, let me just see. So we've got, see where my labels are. So I think we're going to go with there. These cables, by the way, are not connected at the other end yet, so they're not live. This is the first connection I'm actually doing. So this is where we connect the cables, and we can see here it says PV1 and PV2. So I'm going to put string 1 in here and string 2 in here. So the first job is going to be bringing these cables through the cable glands. It's actually labelled PV1 and PV2 underneath as well. So I want to do string 1, which is here. So let's go with string 1 positive, which is red, and that's here. It actually has written underneath there, it's written plus. Fantastic, there we go. And then we've got string 1 negative. Okay. And then string 2 positive. Just wanted to feed these all through before I strip back the cable. And then string 2 negative, minus. Here we go. I'm going to put string 1 positive into the terminal. I'm not using ferrules, I'm just putting the bare cable in because these screw connectors aren't actually screws that are screwing into the cable, they're actual proper flat clamps. So you don't need to use ferrules with these. In fact, I found that if I use ferrules on a terminal that is not a screw, that is like a flat clamp, you can actually deform the ferrule and it can cause a loose connection. So yeah, it's not a good idea. So there we go. So that's the string 1. Yeah, I'm just, there we go, nice and tight. Just double and triple checking these are tight. Yes, they are. Once the system is running, I will be going over all of these connectors with a thermal camera to make sure nothing's getting too hot. And also, after a little while of operation, I'll be retorquing everything because sometimes things can become loose due to expansion and contraction and things like that, just double checking everything. Number 1 cause of fires with electricity is loose connections. Right, when we removed the fuse box in the house, the old fuse box, we found a loose connection, which was something the previous people had installed, or the previous electrician had installed, and before we bought the house, and yeah, it was all black. So good thing we caught it when we did. Always good to check these things. Right, there we go. So that now is done. So I just need to tighten these cables. And now I just need to do the same thing on the second charge controller. So we've got PV input 1 and 2, it says on here. So number 1, that will be PV input 3, or string 3, and then string 4. So I'm going to do exactly the same, fish a piece of cable, pull that through, and then wire all those up. Right, so that's all 4 strings tied in now to the charge controllers. Obviously, I've still got to connect the charge controllers to the batteries. We've got some very large cables, which 70mm cables, which go from the charge controllers down to the bus bar here. I don't have any of that, and that should be arriving in a couple of days' time. So I'm just waiting for that to arrive in the post, and then we can connect that directly to the system bus bar. And the bus bar is a thing which connects, it's like a junction box, and it connects the batteries, the charge controller, and the inverter and everything together. So the next job is to connect the other ends of these cables to the solar combiner boxes in the garage. So here we are in the garage, and here are the 2 solar combiner boxes. And here are the cables which come from the plant room. So the other end of these cables is what we just wired up to the charge controllers. These are going to be wired up to the outputs of the charge controllers. the outputs of the solar combiner boxes. And then these cables here come down from the roof. We haven't installed all of the cables yet because, remember, I ran out of cable, and that cable is actually on order. It won't have that for about another week, actually. But they will come down out of here and then into these combiner boxes. So let's take the lid off one of these combiner boxes and I'll show you exactly why I purchased them. There's a big selection of different solar combiner boxes out there. And we'll just unscrew this so we can have a look inside. So these solar combiner boxes have several functions. What this will enable us to do is turn off the solar panels if for any reason we need to do some work on the system or we just want to shut down the system. We can come here and manually turn off both strings. So we've got a switch here for each string, which is like a circuit breaker. And then here we actually do have some fuses as well. So let me just pull this out and we can have a look. So this is the inside of the solar combiner box. We have a positive and a negative, and we also have a circuit breaker here. And we also have a fuse. This is a fuse holder. One fuse for the positive, one fuse for the negative. And then we also have a surge protection, which is to protect against lightning. Now, one of the reasons I went with this particular box was because the shutoff was for positive and neutral, and also the positive and neutral are both fused. Quite often with solar combiner boxes, the on-off switch, the circuit breaker, and the fusing is only for the positive, not the negative. So this is one of the things I liked about this box, was that the single switch does the positive and the negative, and then we have a separate fuse for each of those, for the positive and the negative, which I think is really good. And you can see here the positive and the negative both go to the surge protection. Now, you can see this is doubled up, so this will be string 1, this section here, and then this section here will be string 2. And then if I pan to the right, then this combiner box will be string 3 and 4, and then future expansion at the end there, I can put another box in there, which would be string 5 and 6, if we ever do that. Now the other thing I've done is I've put this conduit in here, this trunking, so everything can stay neat. And also the solar cables from the roof, they come down into this junction box, and then they will come up into the conduit and then can split off into the different combiner boxes. Just keeps everything neat. So the first job is going to be sorting out all of the cables and then getting them into the combiner boxes, and then we're going to cut them to the correct length and strip the cables and put the cables into the combiner box. We've hooked up all the cables which go here from the garage all the way through to the plant room. I'm just waiting for some cable to arrive, and then we can hook up the cables do the cabling from the solar panels down here to the combiner boxes. We've got 3 cables in already, but we've got a bunch more to lay. Hope you're enjoying the videos, by the way. Thank you so much for your comments. Would really appreciate a like if you could like the video. That really helps me out, and it also helps the channel out. It helps the Google algorithm and the YouTube algorithm suggest these videos to other people, so that really helps out. Now, if you'd like to see a video where I installed that massive Victron Quattro inverter, which weighs almost 100 kilos, we developed a system for mounting it on the wall. If you want to see exactly how I did that, you can see it in this video here.